everybody. We are excited, looking forward to another Sunday together during our Sunday school hour. This week, July 17th, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from our emotionally healthy spirituality study, and we are going to have Aubrey Hunsberger join us. Aubrey is a local mental health professional. She sees clients here in our local area, and so we're just going to have a Q&A with her, ask her some questions, and pick her brain about some things, just what is counseling, and why is it good, and what, from a Christian perspective, can we expect to gain from a counseling session. And so we hope that you'll plan to join us. Before we say, hey, we'll see you next week, we also just wanted to take a minute to share a little bit of our own personal experience with counseling. And I just wanted to talk about a time when I went on an in-depth grief retreat that had a counseling component to that. It was soon after the death of our daughter, and I've shared before how I had gotten to a point in my grief where I felt like, as a Christian, it wasn't right for me to express some of these difficult emotions. I clearly was stuck in a spot and couldn't get to the next. I couldn't very well express kind of the anger and the overwhelming sadness side of things. There was a little bit of an emotional front that I was putting on, and through that intensive weekend of group counseling, individual counseling, small groups, I was able to come to a point in a realization that God loved me, and He already knew what was going on inside of me. He was already well aware of the things that I was trying to hide and to stuff down, and that was really a springboard for me as I walked through that healing process and that grieving, that journey of grief, and really has set the tone for how I handle emotions today, even.
Yeah. I think for me, I've experienced counseling several times, and over the years, and it's always been beneficial. Really, no matter the setting, because it causes so much self-reflection. It's a space, a time out, a time away, and we all need that. I know for me, coming back from Colombia had been a very intense 4 years, particularly with accompanying people in going through a lot of trauma and situations of violence and death and loss. And then coming back and pretty much immediately plunging into church planning in a community. And then the intensity of logging many hours of pastoral counseling with families in the community, non-Christians and others who were in our church family. I had done that for a few years. And then it was a regional pastor who said, Chet, wouldn't you consider taking a 2-week retreat at some point here? And I'm like, yeah, I think that'd be beneficial. I didn't realize until about the 10 days or so into that how much emotional freight I had been carrying, and really hadn't taken time to grieve at so many different places where that was a real loss, that family experience, and just the walking alongside them had taken even a physical toll on me, because the regional pastor suggested that after I really got sick and actually went into the hospital. It wasn't burnout, but I was physically exhausted after so many, and I realized at that point, wow, I've been walking alongside families for years and having a lot of traumatic events, and really hadn't taken a good pause and to say, what about self-care here? And I thought I was doing regular self-care, yet the nature of our life today and all the crises we experience, coming out of COVID, we really all are carrying probably more than we realize, and it can be so beneficial just to slow down, pause, and reflect with someone who loves and listens and say, have you grieved that? Have you talked that through with anyone? And no, I really haven't. And I'm actually feeling that in my elevated pulse, or in my anxiety that's building, and wasn't even aware.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'd say for me, it was ironically when I started the counseling program in seminary, and we started to deal with family of origin issues or family life issues, and I remember distinctly taking notes. Back then we still had our pads or books and writing them. And I remember putting my pen down and I couldn't follow the professor anymore because I was just overwhelmed with some of the early child of origin. You know, Pete Scazzaro talks about looking back to move forward, and I hadn't done that. And all of a sudden I was overwhelmed with those memories, with especially with my mother and some of the abuse. And I remember thinking, I know why I struggle with women in authority now. There's a lot of anger and resentment and mistrust. And so I was fortunate to, in the counseling program as a student, spend about 6 months. We had group dynamics in the afternoon each day of counseling. We had the classes in the afternoon. We would have group dynamics. And then I also had an opportunity to meet with one of my professors probably a couple times a month for those 6 months. And the thing with counseling, I would say, is depending on what's going on in your life, and depending on the trauma, sometimes you can deal with a situation in a few months and move forward. Other times, I think there's layers that God gives us a little bit at a time because it's so traumatic and so overwhelming that we just need to check in every maybe few months or every few years even. I would just say, and I think we would all three agree, that you can never go wrong just to check in with a Christian counselor and say, here's what's going on, or a spiritual director for that matter. And so we hope that this Sunday will be a real benefit for all of you as you listen. We'll have some questions to start off with for Aubrey. And as we go through that time, even now, think about questions you might want to ask her regarding Christian counseling and what that means. So hope to see you all Sunday morning. God bless. Have a great day the rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.